Hey everybody, it's Diana again, and I'm sitting here with retired OPP officer and safety ambassador to Diamond and Diamond, Mr. Cam Woolley, and of course our managing partner, Miss Sandra Ziskin.
Now, what a lot of people don't understand, there's just a whole bunch of rules. Zero alcohol, for example.
So that one I love, because that was the first thing I pointed out to my son, saying, you can't have any alcohol in your system. It's a zero tolerance.
Even when he, let's just say, and he's actually a pretty sharp kid.
Yes.
So he's going to get his license, I think his full G license, pretty quick. He could get it in as little as 20 months, theoretically, but with all the delays,
I know.
it's typically a couple of years. But you can't drink until you're 22.
Right.
You can't have even one drink, even if you have your full G. But what people don't realize is if you're the accompanying driver, you're responsible that all the conditions be met.
Right.
And so is he. So if some conditions aren't met, you could get ticketed, and so could your son if you're the accompanying driver. So now for
under G1 class.
Yep, under G1. Now with G1, there's not usually much of an insurance implication because insurance companies don't consider them licensed really at all until they hit G2, because a licensed driver has to accompany them. When you accompany your son, it's going to be on your insurance.
Right.
So if you're doing that with a friend's kid or something, remember you basically when you lend your car, you're lending your insurance.
Right.
So now when they do get to G2, so let's say you have to stay in G1 for at least a year to go to G2, unless you have passed a course, an approved driving course, and then you can go at 8 months, which means you can try and make the appointment.
Right. So I'm doing that now, for example, with my son for young drivers for a variety of reasons. One, they can teach him better, obviously, than I can. Number one, right. And it's not his mother telling him what to do.
No comment.
And number two, you do get a break on the insurance eventually if they went through this program. Am I correct?
Yes, there's two things you're going to get. He'll be able to go for his G2 at 8 months instead of a year, and there will be a break with some insurance companies. Now, once he hits G2, though, remember, with most G1s, insurance companies may or may not want them listed, their name on the policy. There's often no extra charge, but there can be some exceptions.
Right.
And so if you've got maybe a collector car or it's a company vehicle, things like that, they might say, no, G1. So you should check with your broker. But as soon as he gets to G2, for most people, you got a call. Now, here's the interesting thing. You have to let them know. Even if there's no intent to let them drive your vehicle, insurance companies in Ontario want to know how many licensed drivers are in the house.
Right.
And then what they're going to do is they're going to write his name down and either include him on the policy or exclude him.
Right.
And there are some companies that if you have, say, a kid that's been kind of a bad kid and has a bit of a record, they might say, well, not only are we not going to insure him in your policy, we're not even going to insure you because he lives in the house and maybe you'll take the car even though you said you wouldn't let him.
I saw you, so you made a note there was something about good grades.
Well, that's another interesting discount.
Like with the G2 licensing?
Yes, insurance companies.
These insurance companies will literally pin you for anything, where you live, and your grades apparently.
And apparently because you're too pretty, Diana.
Yeah, that too. Well, I don't even know. What is your deal?
Yeah, that could be a factor, but it's all on risk. So some of the companies have determined that bright kids, good students, are less risky than bad students. So
some actuary somewhere.
So it depends on the company. So some of them, now a G2 can be expensive. It can be, insurance might be say $500 a month.
Right.
Which
depends on the car.
It depends on a lot, which pretty dear. But if the G2 is an occasional driver, then it drops a lot. Now, here's where the problem is.
Occasional. I think most people denote like their kid as occasional.
Well, they'll try that, but it depends how many cars. So let's just say Dad has a car and then a pickup truck for work, and Mom's got an SUV, and you've got a G2 kid. Well, they're going to say, well, that's 3 vehicles, 3 drivers. We're not giving you.
Right.
Oh. So it depends how many. As long as there's more people than cars, they'll probably do that.
Right.
And I want to go back something, and when they're excluded, what Cam was saying, excluded, so what they can do, and I've come into the situation many times, is that if the company specifically excludes a driver, and it's usually a young driver who's made one too many mistakes in their first couple of years, Cam's correct. You're not even allowed to leave your keys out. Like if you left your keys out and the kid took the car, you're responsible. So if it's excluded under your policy, you have to take reasonable efforts to make sure the kid doesn't take the car.
I am really confused.
Right. So I've done all sorts of discoveries where insurance coverage has gone on this sort of thing, and they say, no, the person was specifically excluded from the policy. And then they're going to ask the insurer. So let's say like with me and my kid, if God forbid my kid was excluded because he was being stupid.
Is this, sorry, do you mean this in the process of between the G1 and getting the G2?
No, so now they have a G2.
Yeah.
They're a licensed driver.
Okay.
God forbid they get into a couple of accidents and your insurance company says, no. Now they're excluded from your policy. They're no longer included under an occasional. They specifically cannot touch your cars under any circumstances.
Wow.
So, and they can do that. So what the insurance companies will do is they'll say, either you do this or we won't insure you. And if you give your kid access, then we will vitiate your insurance policy, which means you will be personally on the hook for any accident that kid gets into.
So not only do you get pinged for your kid, you don't get insurance for your kid, but they can also take away your insurance.
Correct. And then, so I had a situation like this where the kid went and took the keys from the front, took the keys of his parents, who was specifically excluded from the policy, took the kids, gone into a horrible car accident. And then the insurance company, obviously we had the victim of that accident. Yeah. The insurance company said, well, we're not going to cover you because he was specifically excluded. And the mom's like, well, we told him not to take it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the insurance company, the first question they ask is, where were the keys? Right. Did you lock them up under lock and key? Like how did you prevent him from taking the keys?
I guess that's the same like if you had a party at your house and then you didn't lock the liquor cabinet.
Correct.
Or you didn't lock away your keys and then the kids went on a joyride with your car, or they busted into your liquor cabinet and they started drinking and then they leave drunk even on the streets. I didn't realize that you would get pinged for it as well.
Yes.
And also sorry mom and dad, because I might have done that in my G2 licensing days.
Don't admit it now.
No, but I was I'm pretty sure I was definitely insured. Like my dad always made sure to call in advance and be like, and at a certain point there was like, I have 4 sisters, so we were all kind of at one point insured under my dad's policy, but I didn't realize that like...
Yeah, the specific exclusion, and Cam will correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually when a kid has exhibited bad behavior in the first little while that they've been licensed.
Yeah, and actually we should talk about that because G1 and G2 drivers are subject to enhanced penalties. So, for example, certain offenses,
They're the first-time driver. Why would they enhance it?
To teach them a lesson.
Risk.
Literally.
Well, so if a G1 or G2, say, gets caught for doing 32 kilometers an hour over the limit, they're suspended for 30 days. Second time, 90 days. Third time, bing, their license gets... And they got to start at the beginning. They have to reapply for their G1. So people say, well, how long does it take? Well, if you take driving lessons and pass, after 8 months, you can go for your G2, but it depends on where you live as to how quick you'll get the appointment. Once you got your G2, you have to have that for 1 year before you can go for your G. But if you fail tests and have to reschedule the appointment, if it's in the Toronto area, you might have to wait months for that. But also, if you get some of these violations, that's going to add time to it. And even if you're this far to your G and you get a couple or 3 bad tickets, you're back to G1.
That's a question. Does the insurance company look at that if you get those little infractions before?
Yes.
They can see all that, yeah?
They can see everything. They literally see everything, and they speak to each other. It's like God. They all talk to each other.
They meet every 6
they
months.
have some sort of internal system that tells, so it's not like you can go to Chubb and then go to Aviva and sort of hide it.
Okay.
It's everybody.
My follow-up question is that, does they know how many times you wrote the test? Or did the test?
No, they don't know that. They just know when they basically start the clock when you get your G2. And another thing too, some people, the insurance is so expensive they don't get it, and they just carry on and get their license. But if you're say 25 or 35 years old and you've never been insured, they go, "Ooh, that's risky." So they want to. So it's good to try and get some sort of insurance as soon as you can.
It's like credit for your kids. You want to make sure they have some sort of record, hopefully good, so that it's easier for them as time goes on.
So the best bet, I guess, for most parents out there is like as soon as your kid turns, I think 16, is it? 16, they can start the process of
yes.
They do the G1. Yes, as I've learned.
Okay, and then within that 8 months, or they do. Question. So I have to ask, do you have to do driving school? Or no,
you don't.
That 1 year lag that you have.
If you don't, if you take if you get driving school in G1, you can take your G2 at 8 months instead of a year.
Okay, but then within that, for the people that opt not to do that, let's say they can't afford the driving school, or they can't,
they can't
commit to it. They would just basically be in a car with another driver with 4 years.
Yeah, with their friend who's probably telling them the wrong stuff anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably a parent that's like, I can teach you better than the driver's schools. Or
and I'll tell you, from many years on Canada's Worst Driver, one of the most consistent factors with all of them was they were trained by a friend or family member.
Right.
There were very few that ever took professional lessons.
So it is worthwhile, I think, in the long run, what you're saying is to do the driving school for insurance purposes, for the purposes of
can you
actually
commit
teaching
too?
them.
As Sandra's busy with the law firm. Do you have the time that's going to work with your son's schedule?
100%.
And then
and I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
I know my strengths
and you don't have the brake pedal on your side.
I also don't have the brake pedal on my side, as I learned from taking him out the first time, and I was just doing this the whole time.
We should just throw this in it, tech-wise. There's lots of different devices you can get that'll monitor your car.
Right.
That I think are worthwhile. There's some where it shares the info for the insurance company. It's up to you if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's some that don't, where it would actually ping your phone if your young driver went outside the area
that
they're supposed to be in, or went over the speed limit.
So Sandra can clock her son's.
Like
if she says you are not allowed to go to, let's say, a different city, like outside Markham, downtown Toronto.
Right.
I'm going to my friend's house.
Are you going to do that?
I don't. So,
take warning.
So I probably won't, only because I can already. He has on Snapchat his location, so I can see where he is usually all the time, but. I don't know. I'm not there yet. My brain still hasn't wrapped around the fact that I have a child that's going to be driving soon. I have to really think about it.
How great is that, though? Because then it's
idea.
just like, I think it's an alleviation for parents. It's like, listen, you have a kid that's entering into this stage of their life, which is like a rite of passage, I feel like, for most of us. Like, I was rushing. Like, the second I turned 16, I think the next day I was at MTO writing my test, ready to go.
Too.
But this generation is not rushing because they have Uber. It's a different generation.
Yeah.
My son wasn't in a rush.
Yeah, with the rideshare apps.
He has the app on his phone. He has Uber Teen on his phone, and he wasn't in a rush. For him, I know in particular, it was kind of like everyone's getting it, so I'm gonna get it. And then for him, and you would appreciate this, he really wanted his G1 because then he could drive the golf cart.
Yes, exactly. That's right. So see, real lessons here, guys. Real lessons. So to wrap up, your G1 license is something that is a written test. You have to wait a minimum of 1 year or 8 months unless you do driving school. If you can opt in or afford or be able to do that. You can then move to get your G2.
Which is a road test.
Which is the road test, which I failed twice, but that's besides the point. That was
a
my
lot
fault.
of confessions
It was my fault. It was my fault. Anyways, backing up. But you must drive as a G1 driver with somebody with a G license for 4 or more years. And then from the G2
No.
4 or more, you said.
The accompanying driver for a G1 must have at least 4 years G experience.
Yes.
So that sort of rules out typically siblings. So the 17-year-old can't ride.
Friends.
Yeah, with the 16-year-old.
Correct.
So.
Right. It's just it's a good plan to like follow the rules, do the licensing process correctly, do the driving school if you can, of course, so that you can learn not from Sandra. But from a real licensed person who knows what they're doing on the road.
All correct things.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's a bit of an investment. If they keep a good record, then the insurance prices will actually drop.
The same way you would get a math tutor if your kid wasn't doing good in math, because you're not in a position to teach them. You get a good driving instructor.
Right. Well, to all the parents out there and all the kids that are preparing themselves for this new
adults,
I guess, and some of you out there that are getting ready to get your license. Read the books, read the rules, listen to the podcast. We gave you all the tips and tricks on how to move forward on getting and becoming a fully licensed driver.